Ever get those butterflies in your stomach when you're crushing on someone? Like every glance across the room feels like a scene from a movie.
Oh, absolutely. That will they, won't they tension can be so captivating.
Well, get ready, because today we're diving into a story that takes those secret admirer vibes to a whole new level. We're exploring the world of BL, or boys love, with a fan-made story that's all about stolen glances, taking that leap of faith and finding your voice along the way.
DL stories often have this way of taking those universal experiences of first love, the insecurities, the excitement, and amplifying them. It's a genre that really dives deep into those complex emotions, especially within those coming-of-age years.
And this particular story, oh, it's a roller coaster. We're introduced to C, a college freshman who's totally smitten with Jimmy, a charismatic senior. We're talking shy glances, heart skipping a beat whenever Jimmy's around. It's like C's living in a romance movie montage.
It's that classic pining from afar trope. But what makes it work so well is that the story really shows us C's internal struggle. He's not just admiring Jimmy from a distance, he's wrestling with his own anxieties, second-guessing every potential move.
It's like he's stuck in that what-if loop, replaying every interaction in his head, but too nervous to actually say anything. And to top it off, they keep ending up in the same classes. It's like fate's playing a hand, wouldn't you say?
Totally. The story even mentions how C chooses his classes specifically to be near Jimmy. They graduate, end up at the same university. It shows a certain level of intentionality on C's part, like he's creating these opportunities for their paths to cross.
Okay, so we've got the classic shy admirer, the object of his affection, and they're both circling each other in this bustling university setting. But there's this one scene that really sets the stage for their relationship, a chance encounter in the library.
Now, you might think, the library, how cliche. But they actually use that setting so cleverly in the story. Remember, libraries aren't just for quiet study sessions. They're these treasure troves of stories, filled with characters and plots just waiting to be discovered.
It's like they're surrounded by possibilities. And then, in a moment of unexpected bravery, C actually speaks up. Can you imagine mustering the courage to confess your feelings after years of just admiring from afar?
It's a real turning point in the story, not just for the plot, but for C as a character. It's like a declaration. He's breaking free from that passive observer role he's been stuck in.
He just comes out and says it, I like you. The silence after that must have been deafening.
And this is where Jimmy's character really shines, I think. He doesn't shy away from the confession, doesn't dismiss it. He meets C's vulnerability with honesty. His response, I like you too, C.
Just like that, the ice is broken and we're off to the races. It reminds you that sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith and see what happens. But as we'll see, their journey is really just beginning. So the confession's out there, right? What happens next?
Well, it's really interesting how the story shifts gears at this point. We go from those stolen glances and all that unspoken longing to like the beginning stages of a relationship, all the excitement and uncertainty that comes with that. Remember we were talking about the library being like a place where stories are waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Well, now C and Jimmy are writing their own story,
Yeah.
chapter by chapter.
And they're off exploring the city together, those kind of nervous first dates.
Yeah.
The story really captures that new love feeling, you know what I mean?
Totally. And it's also where we see Sia start to come into his own. Remember how he was so shy and hidden before? Now he's speaking up more, trying new things. It's like Jimmy's support is helping him find his voice, not just in the relationship, but in life.
It's like Jimmy helps unlock something in him.
Exactly. And it's something you see a lot in coming-of-age stories, especially in BL. Love being this catalyst for self-discovery. Like, it's not just about finding someone to complete you, but someone who inspires you to become the best version of yourself.
That's really cool. But of course, it can't be smooth sailing forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just as C and Jimmy are finding their rhythm, a new character shows up, Kai.
Mm-hmm.
And he's described as this incredibly charming, like, magnetic presence.
Ah, yes, Kai. It's that classic BL trope. The introduction of this outside force to shake things up a bit, create some drama.
Definitely. So what happens when Kai arrives?
Well, Jimmy seems drawn to Kai's energy, and you start to see these little cracks in their perfect bubble. Remember how he was dealing with insecurity even before they got together?
Yeah.
Well, those feelings, they come rushing back, amplified by this whole new dynamic.
The green-eyed monster rears its head.
Exactly. And see, he has this tendency to retreat inward when he's hurting. Instead of facing those feelings head on, he withdraws. And he ends up finding comfort in this secret garden he stumbles across.
So the garden becomes his refuge.
Yeah, it's like this safe haven for him. And what's so cool is how the story uses the garden to reflect C's emotional state.
Okay, that is cool. So while C's in his garden, what about Jimmy? Does he even notice C pulling away? So C's holed up in this garden, right? Nursing a heartache that feels huge. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. You just want to disappear sometimes when things get rough.
Exactly. And the story captures that so well. Like, as C retreats further, the garden itself even starts to reflect his mood. Winter comes, the trees are bare, there's this stark beauty to it.
It's like even in those moments of heartbreak, there's still strength in just being present, you know, riding out the storm.
Totally. He's not giving up, though, is he?
Not at all.
It's more like he's using the time to really look inward.
Absolutely. He focuses on his studies, tries new things, reconnects with friends. It's like he's rebuilding himself piece by piece.
Which is so important after you've been hurt like that. Got to remember who you are.
You got it. It shows a lot of resilience on his part, you know? Doesn't let this heartbreak define him. He feels it, but it doesn't consume him.
It's like watching a flower pushing through concrete. Okay, but then spring rolls around.
Yeah.
And the garden just explodes back to life, you know? All this color and energy.
It's symbolic, for sure. A fresh start. Spring's all about renewal. And you know what happens just as C's finding his footing again?
Don't keep me in suspense. Who is it? It's Jimmy, isn't it?
You know it. He just can't stay away.
So what happens when they finally come face to face again in their special spot?
There's this amazing moment of understanding between them. No big speeches or anything, just this shared acknowledgement of the pain they've both gone through. And Jimmy, he's not his usual charming self, you know. He's vulnerable, and he just says, "I'm sorry."
Sometimes those two little words mean everything.
Right. He's not just admitting he messed up, but that he understands he hurt Seth.
And of course, it happens in the garden. The place where they first really connected, and where C's been healing this whole time.
It's like Jimmy knows he needs to make things right in that space, you know?
But C doesn't just forgive him right away, does he?
No, and that's what's so real about this story. C's cautious. He makes it clear that trust takes time.
Because love isn't about grand gestures, right? It's figuring things out together, even when it's messy.
Exactly. And the story gets that. All those tough conversations, the awkward moments, it's all part of the process.
So what happens in the end? Do they get their happy ending?
They do, but it's earned. You know, they put in the work. The story jumps forward a few years and you see them together, building a life. It's proof that even after going through tough times, love can become even stronger.
Just like C rebuilding himself after heartbreak, their love takes time and care.
And that's a powerful message, don't you think? No matter what you're going through in your own love life, there's always hope for something stronger on the other side.
Love that. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into this amazing BL story. Maybe it'll even inspire you to check out some more stories in the genre. Thanks for joining us today, and until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep those love stories alive.